Alright, good morning, Chevra. Alright, again, let's sing the shir hayichud. Now it's Monday. I know yesterday I wrote Monday with Sunday and I fixed it. But I'm feeling a little, it is what it is. I didn't know if that was a cop behind me or not coming up so fast. It wasn't. So anyway, maybe it was. Very nice. Anyway, let's sing the shir hayichud for Monday. It's a schmooze for peace in the world. Koyach of Simcha, that's how keep a Simcha Seitzeu, and particularly Simcha Shal Mitzvah of one of the mitzvahs of the Torah is Hashem Echad. That's one of the mitzvahs to medias. It's one of the constant mitzvahs to know the oneness of God, to know God's existence. And when we sing songs like this, when we Mekayim this mitzvah, as well as the mitzvah L'Davka B'ay, which of course we fulfill these mitzvahs all the time, but we can make an iyun into the mitzvah by singing these songs. Again, I apologize for not translating, but if you have the Art Scroll Machzer, it's there in English. Both Ashkenaz and Sfard has it after Mariv. Under the Zach, I'm gonna sing the Satmar Niggin, that's for Shabbos, and we'll do the Literature Havorim, because just it's again a little bit more Shabbos L'Chol Nefesh. So let's sing this Zusammen. Vani avducha ben amusecho, daber amalel gvuroisecho, dar cheshev chacha ketzosem asapeira, masechem anoiroi meiro, v'nilecha aroich basefer, agid shvachos otzmu misaper, cheker alo lo yimadze, v'sachel shaddai lo sikotzer, v'lisvu nabozoi Haloyin cheker misbar Shonov layecho boker V'gam ein misbar L'gdudecha B'tziv oisecha ois kvohidecho Eizeh ayin asher tehidecho V'chai lo yirah p'nei kvohidecho Navayin v'chochom hein lo yehda V'ech eroich al asher lo yehda V'yoymai Isha tachlisoi Eroich elav u'b'maskuntoi Avoi ve'emso tachlis shivchoi Loi nemeno esehel ruchoi V'laki lo yeda erkoi Achris pihu reishi starkoi Ahimodi lo yichein enerchi Ufile tein lachtoi V'chiki Asapro lechoi k'sois darcheel Uli Yisroel ma'pa'al el Kakosu v'imru le'Elohim Manoi rab asecha Elohim V'mar ta'amzu lihi yitzarti Yisapru shmi usehilasi B'mitzrayim samti aliloi sai lamante saperes oisoi sai V'ni avdecha al kein asaper Ka'asher adrosh me al sefer Tahallel nafshi koyach ma'asecha V'chol krovai Hashem kodshecha Avrechecha b'chol inyonai B'chol libi oides adoinoi Gam begroin irai mevoisecha v'spim aleit hidlosecha Ki fi agid hidlosecha kol hayoim Es tif'artecha v'imrano azuz neroisecha v'sicha Divrei nifloisecha Es kirtucha v'tzidkoisecha Chasadecha u'kvuroisecha Ta'ati ki godoilato al kol himoid gadalto Ki chol Elohei ha'amim heim alilim ilmim v'ruachein bohem Hein loivdeihem Mul ein meshivim lamaheim Lahem heim amativim Aisaraz yispalolu Lo'yanum ki lo ya'ilu Darshim b'chol lev l'ruachein boi V'karev adinoi am krohoi voi Hayoitzer kavaboil hu Eloheinu hu asanu v'loy levad anachnu Amar Isai v'tzahoin yadai nevarech shmoi ki la'olam chasdai Batzar lanu oid seisa Ki dorshecha loy azavto V'samid befinu tehilla secha O mahalalim l'shem tif'artecho Eida tabecha ubechvoidecha Umishar secha af avadecho Asher kavoidcha malay chol haaretz Uchvoidcha al kol haaretz Aviseinu b'charo oisach Vad chol avoid v'ein l'zar itach Gam anachnu oisa levadecha Avoid kevein av unchabdecha V'hine nabavu al yichudecha Yoimam v'layla eidecha V'fichu lanu bilvaveinu Sha'ata levadcho Eloheinu ata al yichudecha Eidim anachnu v'avodecha Ein techila al reishisecha Vein ketz v'sichlo l'achrisecha Rishon v'achron mibli reishis u'mibli achris V'ein lev leharshis Ein ketz al gavhusecha Vein seif lo'imek midaisecha Ein lecha seive vein lecha peyo Al keinois chachai loira Ein tzad v'tzalal yatzliucha Roicha v'oirech lo yamtziucha Ein peyol esviv aboisecha Vein tavech mavdil beinoisecha Ein chochma asher teidarecha Vein mado asher yagi'echo V'yasig oischa kol mador Vein seichel asher yavin v'yedro Mimucha me'uma v'choato V'chli me'uma Koil barabo v'sabo Let's learn a little bit of we're not going to translate the whole song, obviously, but I wanted to look at part of the song. Part of it's a rebuke to idolatry. It says all the gods of the people are idols, they're mute, and they have no spirit in them. And they don't give any reward to those who serve them. And why should they be giving them anything good? At a time of suffering, so then they pray and they don't answer because those are not real gods. They can't help anything. They have no independent power, right? And these idolaters, they seek out with all of their heart to something that has no spirit in it. However, then the opposite is, we monotheists, it says, and the Lord is close to his people that is close to him. A reference to Psalm 145, it says, Karev Hashem l'chol kairav. The Lord is close to all those who call upon him. L'chol asher yikru ve'emes. To all who call upon him in truth. So we Jews, and then also all the other monotheists that believe in the same Creator God, we can say, but this is really more specifically what it says, Alam Kroivai, for the Klal Yisrael, Hayoitzer Koil Hu Elokeinu. The maker of all is our God. He made us, and we belong only to him. We are the people of his pasture, the flock of his hand, like a flock of sheep. And we bless his name because his kindness lasts forever. And then, so we mentioned how when the pagans, with all due respect, when they are in trouble, they pray to something that has no way of helping them. On the other hand, and even the truth is, even the pagans themselves admit this. Meaning, when you learn about the pagan religions, they themselves admit that their so-called gods, little g gods, they're not always there. They show up when they feel like it. That's kind of the way that they understand it. And if they're busy with something else, they're not going to come help, because really they're what they consider to be gods are no different than you and me, right? If that. So, however, and so they call out to them, and they're not helping, right? However, but when we are suffering, when we have difficulties, you, God, are very much found. That's an understatement of how we can translate this, to the point, where they say there's a French saying that every translator is a boygid. How do you say? Is a traitor, right? Traitor. Translation is treachery. And I think that's the case here. It's a great understatement to translate this ma'oidim say so that you are very much found. This ma'oid, this very much here, at least in this statement. I don't mean that maybe ma'od always means this, but here, although to a certain extent it means more than very much. Here it means that God is found eternally. He's omniscient. He's omnipotent. He's omnipresent. And so in our suffering, God is there with us. Right? It says in the Tehillim, it says that what the Choltzor some Leitzar, that in all of their suffering, it's to Him suffering, meaning God Himself feels our pain. He's there with us, and to what the Chazal say, that when one of God's people is suffering, Kalani Miroishi, Kalani Mizroi, it's hurting my head, it's hurting my arm, because we are all part of God in a sense. Not that God can be divided into parts, but we are all found because God fills all worlds and surrounds all worlds. God feels our pain, because it's like we are His limbs, so to speak. So why is it that God is very much found in our suffering, and not only in our suffering, but in our joy and everything? Why? Because those who seek Thee out, You did not abandon. And in our mouth is constantly Thy praise. We are praising Thy glorious name. So I don't know why they keep recommending that tweet. Anyway, last night, on WhatsApp, they sent out these little video clips, and there was one from Rabbi Arlovsky, who I learned in Or Sameach. Wasn't really in his shir, but he would give sometimes a shmooze, something for the whole yeshiva, for Derech, where I learned. And Rabbi Arlovsky, Zol Gesundsein, he was talking about the Indian of the concept of constancy. If you watch The Simpsons, it was, they found it very boring that Reverend Lovejoy gave a sermon on constancy. It's a sweet, sweet constancy, right? And then Marge told him, you have to talk about something else. But the truth is, constancy is indeed something that's very sweet and something that's very important for us Jews. That we daven 3 times a day, we keep a Shabbos. And Rabbi Orlovsky said, maybe not everybody's davening is the most inspiring. Maybe not everybody's Shabbos is the most inspiring. But the fact that we keep doing it, that's a big deal. He said there was a study that was done. He said in the 80s, they were telling parents you should spend quality time with your kids. You go out of your way, do something really fun, really exciting, 1 hour a week, and that's how you make a real connection to your kids, 1 hour a week. And he said they found that was wrong. Not that you shouldn't have the quality time, but he said the quantity time is more important than the quality time. We call in chaplaincy, there's something called the Ministry of Presence. I know I work with the Eastern Orthodox Christians at the prison. We have a priest who works for me, and then he brings his students who are studying to be priests in the seminary. They come to be to do an internship, and I told them a joke. I said, which saint was most famous for a ministry of presence? That was Saint Nicholas, right? A different type of presence. But to be honest, the ministry of presence means, like yesterday, my wife and I, we work as chaplains. I work full-time in the prison, and my wife and I part-time work in the mental hospital as chaplains. And sometimes we just sit in the day room and watch TV with the patients there, or with the inmates in the prison. Sometimes we have a conversation, sometimes we're just sitting and talking, sometimes we talk about something religious, sometimes we're talking about, people know I like old movies. We were talking yesterday with a few of the patients in the hospital. We were talking about Groucho Marx and Abbott and Costello and the Three Stooges and Charlie Chaplin, things that I'm interested in, things that they're interested in. But then the patient told us, he said, the other day he sat and talked to one of the staff members about cars, and he said he doesn't know about cars. But he said it was so nice to have just an adult conversation, not just be talking about aches and pains and mental illness and everything else. I think that's part of what we said, but Sar Lanam Oidim Seisa, the Bernard Shalom has with us a ministry of presence, but also with our relationships, not only ministering to other people, but with our own families. Sometimes to just sit with your kids, even you're not playing a game, even you're just sitting, and even, you'll excuse me, sitting and watching TV or listening to music or something, and it's not necessarily quality time, but it's quantity time. It's nothing negative. It's a gewaltige Zach. That's where you can build that relationship, and that's how we as Jews and the other religions, they have the same thing. Meaning Muslims pray 5 times a day, right? Is it always the most inspired, spiritual experience, or is it sometimes just you do it? But that's what keeps you. It's just you do it. It doesn't have to be the most inspiring experience. It doesn't have to be, ruach. They people like to talk about, that it's very important, when I'm going to synagogue, there should be ruach, which I agree, it is very important. But sometimes you don't have it. Sometimes it's just a normal service, and it's nothing special. Now, I'll tell you something, with where I live, my shul, we daven at 8 o'clock, and I have to be at work around 8:30. I live an hour away from work. So I don't get to go to minyan every day. And then in the winter, we daven around Shkia. It's still it's dark when I'm coming home, so I don't get to daven for minyan every day like my Zayda did. And like an early chiyid is supposed to do. And yesterday we had our annual. We had a college dinner last night in Queens. My wife and I, we drove down to Queens, went to dinner, and it was a very nice dinner for Lander College. Now it's part of Torah University, and I'm very proud of that, Torah University. But anyway, the idea that I'm saying here is I got to daven mincha with the minyan, and it was very special because I don't get to daven with the minyan every day, right? Even though it's just a regular mincha, nothing, nothing, so wild that like when I was a kid, when I was a bacher in yeshiva, I would go to see Meyer Silverberg and he'd jump around and run around, and he's a big tzaddik, like the Barditchever, like Rabbi Akiva, was such an Indian. And for the big tzaddikim, and that's the way that they fear sich, and he does that every day, Or I heard there's a Yid I never met, Rav Dov Cook. I heard of big tzaddik. He's like the Hasidim Rishonim. He's davening, I don't know, 10 hours a day, something, and he's learning. He's a big Talmud Chochem too, Toy Chasidusam. Malachta Misbereches, Terasa Mishtameres, right? Gemara says. Anyway, many of us we can't do that. We're busy with other things, and so you might think, oh, if I'm not going to daven like Rav Dov Cook, I'm not going to daven like the Baba Sali, I'm not going to daven like with Meyer Silverberg. But what am I doing? I'm not going to daven like Tulsa Avram Yitzchok Rebbe. I'm not going to daven like Rabbi Shemai Morgenstern. Oh, so what's the point, right? No, that's not. You daven. It's a big deal. I wrote on the Facebook this year how happy I was that I got to say Al Anisim all 8 days of Hanukkah. I didn't miss Al Anisim. Now, what's the big deal? Kablan Saruv. Every Orthodox Jew davens 3 times a day, and if you're davening on Hanukkah, you're going to say Al Anisim. What's the big deal? It is a big deal. The little things are the big things. That's what we say. There's a little essay called The Art of Marriage. Someone in the 1950s wrote it, and sometimes we read it because I do civil weddings. And that's something people like to read, is The Art of Marriage, as a reading, as a secular reading in the wedding. And so The Art of Marriage, it says the little things are the big things, and that's the truth. Just being there is a big deal. The ministry of presence, and that's how the Barnei Shalom is. It says Ve'eh Katal Yisrael. The Navi says, Navi Hosea, the prophet Hosea says that God says, "I will be like dew unto Israel." And the Medrash says, I remember hearing this from Rabbi Weinberger. There's a Medrash that says that the Klal Yisrael wanted that God should be like rain, not there all the time, and when it's there you feel it. And God said, "No, I'm going to be like the dew. I'm there all the time, and you don't feel it until afterwards. In the morning you go out, and if you wear socks and no shoes and go walk on the grass, then you feel the dew, right?" But that's what it means. Ve'eh Katal Yisrael. They will be like dew unto Israel. D-E-W. And I remember Rabbi Wade, Rabbi Dr. Wade, the Ger, he should be well, Rabbi Usher Wade. He said that, and of course, he's from the Ger Hasidim. Ger Hasidim, they daven very fast. They finish everything. It was very fast, very fast. The Shachris during the week, maybe 20 minutes, They don't schlep anything out. And he said, it was a tape I heard from him. He said that what was I going to say? That maybe you got up, you davened, you put on tefillin, maybe you went to minyan, you davened, whatever it is, right? And maybe it wasn't the most inspiring thing in the world, right? But he said, at least you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that, right? Nobody forced you to do it, and you did it. It's a big thing. And so that's what it means, constancy. You daven 3 times a day. That's what it means a masmid. You learn every day. The Korban Tamid wasn't brought 24 hours a day. It was brought twice a day, but it was called Tamid. It was called constant because it was twice a day, right? The daily burnt offering in the temple. So that's the V'samid b'finu tilasecha. Your praise is constantly in our mouths. And we are giving praise to thy glorious name. You are a witness to yourself and to thy glory. And all your ministering angels and all your servants are testimony to this. Right? The testimony is that the Klal Yisrael, it still exists, right? There's so many stories of whether it was Louis XIV asking Pascal, or it was Franz Josef, the Habsburg Empire, asking his advisors, what's the proof that God exists is the Jews, right? So Avadecha, thy servants, are the witnesses to thy glory. That thy glory fills all the earth, and thy glory is above all the earth. And that is interesting, very interesting, because one of my friends, he points out, what does it mean that we are the chosen people? It means we are the choosing people. We are the ones who chose God, right? Not that God chose us, we chose God, right? Our ancestors chose you. Only to serve you and not any stranger with you, no other God. And then and also we will serve you alone. We'll serve you like a son serves his father and honors you, and we will honor you. And then behold, we for thy unity are day and night witnesses, meaning we recite the Shema every day. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, every day and every night. We give testimony to thy unity. In all of our mouths and in our hearts, that you alone are our God. Okay, so thank you for watching. Again, we could keep going. This is a very beautiful hymn, and I certainly encourage you all to look at it. If you understand Hebrew, contemplate this hymn, and if you don't, and if you have an art scroll machzor for Yom Kippur, or you could borrow one from the shul or something, it's very very worthwhile. Or I think there's, again, some of the machzorim, even the old machzorim, might be on Hebrew books or something with the English, to contemplate this hymn very much, because it's very special, the shir hayichud, the hymn of unity. And again, in the merit of the joy that we have to sing this hymn, to recite this hymn, we should fulfill what the Navi Yeshayahu says, what the prophet Isaiah says, Ki b'simchas eitzeyu. We'll go out in joy. Let's go out we'll go out from all of our tzaras, from all of our suffering, but also this message that we have here, that B'tzar lanu ma'odim seisa, that God is holding our hands. He is suffering with us, so to speak. Kalani miroishi, kalani mizrahi, kiviyachol, as if such a thing was possible, that we are unified with the Almighty. We are We are His body in the world, so to speak. So when one of us is suffering, it hurts. And then it hurts all of us when we see Jews and other good people in Ukraine suffering needlessly, and the good people in Russia who are suffering under a dictator that they don't want what he's selling, and it's causing pain for us. It pains all of us because we're all one body, automatim, and so therefore, Baruch Shloim, have Rachmanis on yourself and on us, on your Shechina Kadosha, thy holy presence in the world, so kaviyachol, so to speak. Say so, because you are found very much in all of our suffering. Not only are you found to alleviate our suffering, but you, it says in the Psalms, their suffering is His suffering. So Baruch Shloim, kaviyachol. So Baruch Shloim, take away this suffering. Take it away. Let's enjoy. Keep a simcha seitzeyu. Let's have the joy in the world, that we can go out from all this suffering through the joy, and the joy of God is the only true joy in the world. My strength and joy are in His place. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment, and we'll see you all later.